So, anyone recall the mess of the Odyssey and how Odysseus had a happy ending? That was the black sheep in all of Greek storytelling because most of these stories the main character falls to some sort of hubris and that leads to their doom. Icarus, drowned. Theseus, exiled and killed. Orpheus, depressed. That's too much to unpack here, so we're going to talk about Jason's story. You know, the guy with the golden fleece. But we're not going to talk about him, we're going to talk about Medea, his wife, the main character of Medea by Euripides. Surprise, because, spoiler alert, Jason has a massive ego and a hero complex. And that gets you thinking, to what extent does reputation affect the power dynamic between characters? Another spoiler alert, reputation is too huge not to talk about in this case. We will be exploring this question through the character of Medea and her relationships between Jason and King Aegeus. Let's begin by establishing the reputation of Medea in respect to most, if not all, of the characters in the play. Medea easily states, "For being clever, I find that some will envy me, others object to me, yet all of my cleverness is not so much." She subtly acknowledges her reputation and how it has affected people around her for better or for worse. Cough, cough, her dead father and brothers. But she dismisses that reputation. Being clever as a woman in Greece was a big no-no, so to her it was better to keep things under wraps. But it doesn't stop her from thinking about how others thought of her. To her, reputation is something she doesn't want to define her, and she treats this new life as if her last reputation was tainted. Cough, cough, her dead father and brothers. But with Medea's clever mind, she doesn't completely dismiss it, and uses her reputation as leverage. Medea asks Aegeus to swear by the plane of earth and Helios, father of my father, and name together all the gods. Through this explicit line, she establishes a direct line of power and indirectly establishes her own power. What makes it so clear that she is establishing power is that she uses the name of her grandfather, as opposed to someone like Zeus or another god. Earlier in the play, she invoked the names of Themis and Artemis for protection. In this case, she's not looking for help, she is looking to hold leverage over King Aegeus. To Medea, while reputation is not important in the casual day-to-day, she realizes the absolute power she has and takes advantage of it, placing her higher in power. Remember how I said Jason had a massive ego? Yeah, reputation is so big to him, he basically exiles Medea for it. Medea's reputation is so strong in her own respect, the effects it has on her relationship with Jason further highlight how important reputation is in terms of power dynamics. Jason quietly claims, and all the Greeks considered you a clever woman. You are honored for it. Again, being clever isn't a good thing in Greece, but Jason has seen it to be good for the Greek people. In this way, he also subtly acknowledges the amount of power she has. It's an anomaly, and he wants to bring her down because she's a threat to both his position as king and as a man. Cough, cough, her dead father and brothers. He even furthers his point by claiming that Cyprus was alone responsible. He explicitly dismissed the work Medea has put in, saying that the love was what got them through, not Medea herself. By dismissing her, he is placing himself in a higher position of power. His goal was to get the Golden Fleece, and his ego wants him to be the sole hero versus someone who would have needed help. Side note, you could even argue that Medea was the main reason why Jason even succeeded, and that's something that Jason would never get over. Overall, reputation is just one of the most significant aspects in the power dynamic between Jason and Medea, and has just as significant effects. Even Medea's relationship to Aegeus is just as important in discussing the power dynamics and how reputation has affected them even further than just Medea threatening him earlier. Aegeus is reluctant to help Medea and says, "I'm anxious to do this favor for you. Do you not trust me?" He implicitly acknowledges Medea's infamous reputation, but because he's so reluctant, that is why Medea has him swear by the gods. He thinks of his reputation first and how that would affect his stance and power before how his aid might help Medea. It's all a game of chess, because Medea is pretty scary according to everyone, and Aegeus doesn't want to lose any of his pieces. Although, after Medea vents to him that her marriage is basically in shambles, he complies. "Indeed, Medea, your grief is understandable." He tries to level out the playing field by claiming how understandable it is that Medea is heartbroken, although he is not married himself. In this case, he also implies that Medea isn't overreacting because of an issue with reputation on her end. Overall, reputation is the biggest evil when talking about power dynamics in Medea, and are clearly shown through the relationships of Medea between Jason and King Aegeus. I feel like there has been enough talk of death lingering for me to fully wrap this up, so I will end it with the note of, if Jason's ego wasn't this big, there would never have been this issue in the first place. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.